Welcome to Hatman Strikes Back Daily Boxing News. Now, whenever there's a controversial decision in boxing, when the word robbery is being thrown around, it's become almost customary now to analyze the Compubox numbers. Now, as I always remind people, Compubox are not infallible. At the end of the day, it's just three old guys sat at ringside pushing buttons manually. That's all Compubox is. It's not some kind of AI system that analyzes the footage and freeze frames everything and zooms in to see what lands and what doesn't. No, Compubox is none of that. It's just three old guys at ringside manually pushing buttons, and when they push them within whatever it is, a second of each other for a particular fighter, that gets counted as a scoring blow. Obviously, they're going to make mistakes. This is why I say, and this is why it is, that Compubox is not used by any boxing authority to score fights, because mistakes can be made for one, and for two, Compubox doesn't tell you the quality of the punches landed. You see, professional boxing is not like amateur boxing. In professional boxing scoring, a greater emphasis is placed upon how damaging the blows are. It's about which fighter lands the most clean, effective meaning damaging punches. Also, a lot of fans can be misled by the total punch count at the end of 12 rounds, because it isn't the case that the guy that landed the most punches overall over 12 rounds should be the winner, because it comes down to the quality of the shots, as I've already said, but also how those punches were distributed over those 12 rounds. In some cases, the guy who landed less punches overall might have actually outlanded his opponent in the majority of the rounds, but he ended up having a couple of really bad rounds where he threw hardly anything and landed hardly anything, but his opponent landed, let's say, 25 punches in each of those rounds. And so you get to the end of the fight and it looks like his opponent, has outlanded him, but actually when you look at the fight round by round, he outlanded his opponent in most of the rounds. But overall, because of those two bad rounds, he landed less. You see? So don't get misled by the punch totals for the whole fight. Now, I've just done a video analysis where I've looked at video footage and I play video footage of the first round of the Beterbiev-Bivol fight and show you and prove to you that the Compubox figures for that particular round are way off. Now, I have to say that the Compubox figures aren't normally this badly off, but in this case, they are way off for the first round. This video is uploaded to my Patreon page right now. I can't show the footage on YouTube for obvious reasons, but I can show you the Compubox numbers for round one. They're right here. According to them, Beterbiev only landed 4 punches in the first round and Bivol landed 14. Now, the figure of 14 for Bivol is about accurate. I counted 15 punches, I think, for Dmitry Bivol. When I went through the whole round in slow motion, I counted 15 punches landed for him. But rather than the 4, which were recorded by BoxRec, I counted 11, or it might have been 12 punches, I forget now, landed for Beterbiev in round one. And crucially, according to BoxRec, Beterbiev landed no power punches in round one at all. When in actual fact, as you can see from this screenshot, not only did Beterbiev land at least one power punch, but it was actually the best punch of the round. It was the cleanest, hardest punch of the round, landed by either fighter. It was a right hand from Beterbiev. And it was such a good shot that Bivol backed off after the shot landed, and Beterbiev went charging in trying to follow up because he thought he might have stunned Bivol with the punch, and he ended up walking into a right hand himself, but it wasn't as good a right hand as the one that Beterbiev landed. So that was totally missed by the Compubox guys, but when you slow the fight down, when you look at the slow-mo replay, a big right hand clearly lands for Beterbiev. So I just want to draw your attention to the fact that Compubox are not infallible. I always say Compubox gives you a rough idea of the complexion of a fight, how it went roughly, generally. But Compubox numbers are certainly not the be-all and end-all. You really need to go watch the fight for yourselves, preferably with the sound turned off, so you can't be subconsciously influenced by the commentators. Certainly in the highest quality you can find it, 4K if possible, and in a really nip and tuck fight like this, in slow motion if you've got the time. Now, before anybody says that I'm trying to twist reality here to fit my conclusion, because I scored this fight in favor of Beterbiev by 1 1 round. So I saw it as very close. As far as I'm concerned, it could have gone either way. When I watched it live, the impression I had was that Bivol had won, but I wasn't scoring it round by round when I watched it live. When I watched it back the next day, with the sound off, I had Beterbiev winning by 1 round. And as I said in a previous video, if I watched this fight 3 times, I might come up with 3 different scorecards. It was that kind of fight. Nevertheless, the scorecard I have done had Beterbiev winning by 1 round, and so there are going to be some people accusing me of trying to warp reality around my scorecard. Well, anyone on Patreon can have a look at the video for themselves. You tell me whether I'm warping reality or whether Compubox have actually got it wrong. And I'm telling you it's the latter. They've got it well wrong for that first round. But for the rest of the fight, guess what? I haven't analyzed all the other rounds, but what I can tell you is that Compubox had Artur Beterbiev outlanding Dmitry Bivol in 6 of the 12 rounds. That's not me. That's not my interpretation. I haven't analyzed the other rounds in slow motion the way I did the first round. This is Compubox. In 6 of the 12 rounds, they've got Beterbiev outlanding Bivol. In fact, I don't think it's even 6 rounds apiece in terms of who landed the most punches. I think they've got Beterbiev outlanding Bivol in 6 of the rounds, Bivol outlanding Beterbiev in 5 of the rounds, and 1 of the rounds, they landed an equal amount, according to Compubox. So you can see it here. They've got Beterbiev outlanding Bivol in the 3rd round, the 7th round, the 8th round, the 10th round, the 11th round, and the 12th round. And Bivol only outlanded Beterbiev in the 1st, the 2nd, the 4th, the 5th, and the 9th. According to Compubox, the 6th round was even in terms of punches landed. So again, this is not me, this is Compubox. According to their figures, Beterbiev outlanded Bivol in 6 of the rounds, and Bivol only outlanded Beterbiev in 5 of the rounds, with 1 of the rounds even in terms of punches landed. Make of that what you will. In terms of power punches, they've got Beterbiev outlanding Bivol as well overall. His connect percentage is much lower, but in terms of punches overall, landed power punches, it's 90 for Beterbiev and 84 for Dmitry Bivol. And you can see here the round by round power punch totals. Again, in the first round, Beterbiev landed at least 1 power punch. It was the best punch of the round. Somehow Compubox missed that, and they've got 5 power punches landed by Bivol, which I'd have to go back and check my video to see if that's accurate. In most of the other rounds, the power punch totals are actually very close. In some of them, there's a big gap, like in the 11th, they've got Beterbiev landed a lot more power punches than Bivol. In the 12th, it's even in power punches. The 10th, it's 9-7 in favor of Beterbiev. The 9th round, they've actually got Bivol landing nearly double the number of power punches as Beterbiev. The 8th, it's the other way around, with Beterbiev nearly doubling the amount of power punches as Bivol. The 7th is 13-8 in favor of Beterbiev. Very close in round 6. It's 6-5 in favor of Bivol. Round 5, it's 7-4 in favor of Bivol. Round 4, 6-4 in favor of Beterbiev. Again, these are just power punches. Round 3, 9-7 in favor of Bivol. Round 2, 2-1 in favor of Bivol. And round 1, 5-0 in favor of Bivol, which is just, not accurate. Anyway, that's as much as I can show you guys here on YouTube. If you want to see my video analysis, where I can back up the stuff I'm saying with actual video footage in slow motion, then check me out on Patreon. If you want to access this video along with hundreds of hours worth of other exclusive boxing content, as well as our members chat, just head on over to my Patreon page and select the tier called the Boxing Brotherhood. There's no contract, no commitment. You can cancel at any time, just like Netflix, but it's a hell of a lot cheaper. Just download the app from the Play Store or the App Store. All the links are in the description box below.